Let's see. All right, what's going on, guys? So, what we're gonna start to go through today. What's up, Jose? Um, we're gonna start going into evolution. Okay, so we talked about genes and how they get brought down by parents through alleles. Okay, and then also how our dominant and our recessive genes get passed on. Okay. So now we're going to start getting through evolution about how those genes got us to where we are now today. Okay. So, really quick, what we want to talk about through evolution is if you remember when we were doing our kingdoms, right? What kingdom do we belong to? Do you guys remember? A little bit of review. Are we in the plant kingdom, the animal, the fungus? What kingdom do we belong to? Animal, right? All right, perfect. Okay. So, what we're going to be doing, all right, is that all living things share a common ancestor. Okay. So, evolution is that one species give rise to another. All right. So, what species do we belong to? What's our full species name? We're Homo sapiens, right? So, as we go back in time, our ancestors all have one in common, okay? And that's the theory of evolution. So, one of the new scientists that we're going to discover, hey, Diana, how are you? Is that we are going to learn about Lamarck, okay? So, he had an idea that basically all characteristics were passed off to offspring, okay, by your parents, your characteristics. So that's what we were talking about before, whether you have brown eyes, brown hair, blonde hair, okay, as some of the examples. Now, different species in the past compared to today, all right? Our ancestors, if you go back, we kind of came from chimpanzees. Us and chimpanzees all have the same common ancestor, okay? So over time, we were able to stand up straight. And we're going to get into that later in the week, all right? So this is the one guy that said that all of our traits were passed over. So I just put up the notes for today, as well as the PowerPoint slide with the notes. And you'll see that one of the things that they said that over time started to grow was the giraffe's neck. Okay. Because if you think about a giraffe, they live over in the Sierra areas, right? Or the savannah. And a lot of those trees are high up in the ground. So in order to eat those leaves, they have to have a long neck. Now, what do you think happens to the giraffes that have shorter necks that can't reach those leaves? What do you guys think? Do they survive or do they die off? We'll get into that in a minute, Brian. Let's just worry about this right now. What do you think? If a giraffe has a short neck and it can't reach those leaves, they would die off, right? Good. So this goes over to Charles Darwin, all right? He had the survival of the fittest, natural selection, okay? So basically what that means is think about sports or basically think about anything where you have to compete for something. Usually whoever is the strongest or the smartest usually gets what they want, okay? Especially when you're thinking about sports. If you're wrestling, usually whoever knows the right technique or who is the strongest usually ends up winning, okay? So Darwin said whoever is the fittest and the strongest is usually going to survive, okay? And what happens is when you survive, you end up passing on your traits to your offspring, okay? So let's go back to those giraffes, all right? So let's say we have a giraffe and it's tall, okay? Now, let's say because it's tall, I'm going to put a capital T for its alleles, All right, this means it's tall. Can you guys see that? Now, since it's tall, okay, and it has an uppercase T, what do the uppercases mean again? Are they dominant or recessive? That's okay, Anthony. What do you guys think? Dominant or recessive if it's a capital? Dominant, good, okay? So what happens is you have a tall giraffe. Now, that tall giraffe, let's say we have two parts up here. Now this goes right back to the Punnett square, okay? Everything goes off the Punnett square. Since it's surviving and eating, okay, let's say it matches with another giraffe, but it's a short giraffe with a short neck, okay? Now let's go through this. You bring the capital T's down, but now you bring the lowercase t's across. All those choices all have an uppercase T, so it's still going to be dominant, okay? And it's still going to equal a tall giraffe, okay? Now, let's say we have this offspring, okay? Because that's the only choices you can get is an uppercase T and a lowercase t. So now let's bring it over here. I'm going to move to the opposite side so you guys can see. All right. So let's say we got a capital T and a lowercase t. That's this guy now, okay? So capital T and lowercase t, you're still going to be tall, correct? But let's now bring over another giraffe that also has a dominant trait, but that also has a recessive trait. So now we go across. We got capital T, capital T, capital T, lowercase t, capital T, lowercase t, and now we got two lowercase t's. Okay? Now, let's say that this offspring is produced. So if it's two lowercase t's, are you going to have a tall neck or a short neck? What do you guys think? Tall neck or short neck? If you got two lowercase, you're going to have a short one, okay? So two lowercase. All right. So now, if you go by that, do you think this giraffe with the short neck is going to live into adulthood and be able to produce an offspring? No, right? So what happens is he doesn't survive. But let's say these parents have another kid and he ends up getting this gene. Okay? So over time, as many years go on and on, it kind of cycles out these lowercase t's. Okay? You might have some giraffes that have the capital T and the lowercase t, but even though they have one capital, they're still going to have long necks. And that's why over time, okay, you don't see any giraffes that have a short neck. All right? So another thing we're going to get into later on is we came from same common ancestor as chimpanzees, okay? What is the difference between us and chimpanzees on how we walk? What do we do that's a little different? What do you guys think? What's one of the things that's totally different between us and chimpanzees? All right, so good, Anthony. We walk straight, right? We walk on two legs. Chimpanzees, and apes and everything else that also come from the primates, right? They're always on their front 2 feet or paws, okay? Or hands. Now, the thing is, think about very old people, okay? What are some of the surgeries that they have to get over time? What do some people, they need to get something replaced if they use it too much? They have to get something surgery. Okay, knee surgery, that's one. Spine. I'm looking for another one. Starts with an H. Close. We're getting close. You're skipping over the one thing, though. You keep going back and forth. It's on the side of you. Hip. Okay? Hip surgery. The reason why people get hip surgery is because even though we're walking on both our 2 legs, okay, and we're on our feet, we're still not perfectly adapted with evolution to be used to actually standing on 2 legs. Okay. That's why a lot of people, if they're big runners, they usually need knee surgery. Okay. They need a hip replacement because we're still evolving as a species. Okay. Over time, one of the things that's slowly, really slowly starting to evolve out of us is our smallest toe. Okay. Because we don't need it anymore. When you think about it, primates, they use every one of their paws to grab stuff. Okay. Are we really grabbing stuff with our feet anymore? No, right? So we're not grabbing stuff with our feet anymore. Okay. And that's why some of uh, our smallest toe is starting to evolve out. Now, is it going to happen during our lifetime? No. But we're going to keep passing on our genes over and over again. And then maybe, possibly 200, 300 years from now, there could be someone that no longer has 5 toes. It could be 4. All right. But again, we don't know. Everything is still evolving. All right. So we were able to evolve to stand vertically up. Okay. But some of our muscles and some of our skeleton and our tissues, okay. How are you, Evelyn? Don't worry, you can always go back. So when you go become straight vertical, some of the stuff is not perfect and there's still evolution that goes into it, okay? So a lot of these scientists like Darwin, all right, and I'm going to be posting some videos about him, he was able to look, okay, with his finches. So he noticed that some of the beaks changed what they were able to eat on the islands, okay? So the Galapagos Islands, which we'll talk about, all right, later in the week, he was able to find out that some birds, depending on their beaks, were more adapted to eat better than other birds. And this caused some birds to die out and other birds to prosper, okay? Because that's the big thing. If you guys were living, right, and you were fighting with someone else to eat food and they won every time, are you going to live much longer? What do you guys think? If you were in the cafeteria, right, and there was someone that was a lot bigger than you constantly eating all the food, no, all right? So that's the survival of the fittest, okay? If we were in the wild, all right, only the strongest of us would survive. Maybe if you're faster, if you were smarter, if you were stronger, okay? The good thing is we're not really surviving in the wild and everyone gets for the most part, when you go to lunch, you're always getting a tray of food, okay? So we're going to be going into evolution, all right? You notice that I still use the Punnett square because we're still bringing over genes, okay? So remember, the genotype is what? That's the actual gene you get. the phenotype, what was the phenotype again? Do you guys remember phenotype? Genotype starts with a G. It's got gene in it. Phenotype, what does that start with? A P. pH. It's the physical, all right? Physical trait that you get, okay? You get genes from your parents. Your phenotype, basically, maybe you got blue eyes, maybe you got brown eyes, okay? Maybe you are tall and skinny, or you are short and stocky, okay? Whether you have wavy hair, curly hair, straight hair, all right? These are some of the things, okay? Whether you're fast or not, stronger in sports, all of it goes by the genes that you get from your parents. Now, going even further back, okay, because you get stuff from your parents, what are the two things you get from your parents that equals 46? What do you guys remember? Can you see that? Is there a glare? The chromosomes, good. And how many chromosomes do each you get? So I'm going to put an M for mom, D for dad. How much you get from mom? 23, good. Then you get 23 from dad. Yours equals 46, okay? Now, what's this process that two of them came together? That created 32. Is it mitosis or meiosis? Careful. Mitosis is what? Mitosis is cell division where? Thank you, everyone. All right, so mitosis, cell division, right? So that is anything. So that think of your skin cells, okay? They're dividing up constantly. That's the division of your cells. Meiosis, all right? This is what happens to you actually, okay? Meiosis, that goes into sexual reproduction, okay? That's what splits up your sex cells to make it 23, okay? So is everyone understanding where we started with mitosis, meiosis, okay? And then we started talking about chromosomes and where they're found in the cell. And even before that, we were talking about the cell where all of our chromosomes are found in the nucleus, okay? Now we get on to the Punnett squares where we get passed on genes and the genotype. That creates the phenotype, that what you look like, okay? All right. Again, I always say hair and eye color, but it could be a lot of other ones, all right? If both of your parents need glasses, most likely your phenotype is that you're going to have bad eyesight and you're going to need some help with glasses, all right? Now, going back, if you had bad eyesight before glasses were invented, do you think you're going to survive in the wild? Yeah, Anthony, it's all going to go on and on. And then after this, we're going to start learning about body parts. No, so if you had bad eyesight, because I'm wearing contacts now, and I know a lot of you have glasses, all right, we would probably not make it that long in the wild, okay? And that's why and that's basically natural selection, okay? Only the strongest survive, and those people that survive, their offspring, if they don't need glasses, there's a good chance that their offspring wouldn't need glasses. And that's how basically the people that do need glasses would eventually die out. And a new species would arise from that. Humans that don't need glasses or have bad eyesight. Okay. All right. So later on in the week, all right, I did put up a assignment. Let me just branch it up a little bit. Okay. We have Bill Nye. So I put up a video. Okay. And I put up a worksheet. I set the assignment due on Friday. All right. So you got plenty of time. I'm still going to be handing or putting up stuff on the Google Classroom. Okay. Let me get over. So that's what I'm expecting you guys to look at. So it's basically a Bill Nye on genes. He's going to show you some examples of it, kind of what we went through. He's going to talk about the chromosomes, how they get passed on. Some of the traits that he talks about is the earlobe, whether you have a hanging one like this or if it's attached straight to your head. Okay, that's one of the things. Also with the if you can roll your tongue. I can't do it, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But he's going to show you stuff with that. And then there is a worksheet that goes along with it. Okay. So if you have a printer at home, that's great. If not, write it down on a piece of paper and then, you can type it back up on a Google document. And then, because I did give you where you can edit it on it. Okay. And then we're going to go from there. And then maybe on Friday, we'll go over it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Are those all no questions or concerns? All right. You guys doing all right though? I'm glad, I understand. Do we need to hand it in? Yes. So if you have it, just type it up and then you can submit it. Okay. And then we'll go over it. Yes, Josue, I want you to do as much as you can. You'll notice some of them you might already know without even watching the video. Okay. So again, I have the notes up. I have the note packet that goes with it. Okay. And then I have the Bill Nye with the link. Okay. And besides that, I'm glad you guys all came on. All right. I know that you guys are doing everything you're supposed to on Google Classroom. All right. Your grades for the quarter are going to reflect that. Okay. I know it's not easy doing this on your own free time. Okay. It's taking a lot of willpower. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. Also, if you know anyone in class that still has not signed on to Google Classroom, all right, I've been trying to send out stuff. If you can just, give a Snapchat or text your buddy the code, that would be great. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions before we sign off? He doesn't. So Andy can actually just sign on through the code if he can. I know. So Anthony, you're gonna have to actually give him. Let me see. Where's my? You're gonna have to give him the actual code. Here, let me see. I would give him the code to the Google Classroom. Okay. All right, Brian. I'll see you. Any other questions going forward? Okay. If you guys have any questions, just message me on Google Classroom. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.